life brings people together just when you need them most. You know that saying, right people at the right time? I'm a huge believer in that, and that is exactly what happened for my very first guest tonight. These three ladies happened to cross paths because of a horrendous disease, but the love, support, and friendship that came out of it has proven to be completely priceless. Anne lost her mother to ALS in 2009, and unfortunately, that is not the last time her life was touched with ALS. Her husband, Dan, was diagnosed in 2014 and lost his battle with ALS soon after. In 2013, Meredith's husband, Bruce, a successful CEO of an engineering company, was diagnosed with ALS. Bruce courageously fought and battled ALS for almost 6 years before losing his battle in 2019. And our very own wonderful Angel, as she has been dubbed by both of our upcoming guests. She's an RN and BSN, and she is our very own Care Services Director. I am joined with all three ladies. So please welcome to our show, Anne Saunders, Meredith Lindgren, and Joumana Baroody. Hi, ladies.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks for having us on.
Oh, I am so excited about this. You have no idea. And what's really exciting to me is that I get to have all four of you together because, like I said, your paths really did cross in a horrible way, but it brought all of you two together. So I'm really excited to get to talk about all of that. So let's kick it off by, you know what, I'm going to throw it to you, Joumana, first. How did you find your way to the ALS Association's Greater Chicago chapter?
Well, it's a long story. I don't know how much time you have, but I'm going to make it short. It was an accident, actually. I was working in my previous life at the University of Chicago in the clinical side of ALS, and I was thrown in there by accident. But in 2009, shortly after the association the chapter had connected with the University of Chicago to start a clinic there. And I had this communication with them, and I was introduced to them. Shortly after that, I was forced into retirement because the funding to my position was gone after the financial crash. So I decided, instead of working somewhere else what I didn't have a passion for, I took a time off and I was at home. And I think at that time the chapter was growing, and they were who could help. And so they reached out to me based on recommendation.
We are so glad you found your way to us, seriously. And I think these two ladies right here are really, really glad that you found your way to us. Speaking of these two ladies, Anne, you and I talked, and you said that you met your husband, Dan, who passed away of ALS. You guys met in high school. Do you happen to remember what was your first impression of Dan, and did it happen to be accurate?
Yeah, I mean, as accurate as could be. I met him, well, actually, I knew him through some mutual friends, but he had a very strong personality and was overall pretty charming. So it was easy to say yes to the date.
Easiest yes you've ever said, I'm sure, next to his proposal. I love it. Meredith. Yeah. Meredith, how about you? Tell me about Bruce.
Oh boy. I met Bruce at Purdue when we were both engineering students. I helped him rush the fraternity because I was a little sister there. And my first impression of him was he was very straight-laced. He walked really straight. I thought he was maybe an ROTC or something. But he was an athlete. He was a runner. So that's really what happened there. And we didn't start dating until a couple of years after that because we were both dating other people.
Isn't that funny how life works out sometimes?
Oh, yeah. But I kind of had a crush on him before we started dating because we had been study partners because we were both in engineering. And he was just always so nice. He was very pleasant. He treated people nicely. I just really liked being with him.
Oh. And Joumana, you got to meet Dan and Bruce. Do you remember, or what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear their names?
I think poor Joumana's frozen.
Oh, Joumana, we lost you.
Oh,
it's
no.
okay. You know, You know what, Joumana, you'll be back. I have faith. Don't worry. And Meredith, that just means we get to spend
I'm
more
back.
time. Oh, you're back.
I hear her.
We hear you talking. Are you back with us?
Oh, yes. So Dan, I think Dan made you think of directions, driving directions and Waze, because he taught me how to use that app, Waze.
Oh,
But it think of that.
This is like a game.
I'm a person who's, what?
you're in and out, Joumana.
You're in it, Joumana. This is like a game. We get to play. What is Joumana saying?
I
'Cause
think
you're
I'll
in and out.
text her. I think I'll text her and say, Joumana, go upstairs.
Yeah, there you
The
go.
baby-
Aww.
Guys, the internet, if you watch, I think it was our last show or 2 shows ago. I don't know, really, my days are confused. I lost the internet. The internet has been out to get us. This is what happens on a live show. You never know what's going to happen. From I think what Joumana was telling me on that story is that when she thinks of Bruce, she thinks of directions because.
No, that was Dan.
Oh, Dan. Gosh, Dan. So Dan taught her how to use Waze, which I don't even know or have used. So that would have come in handy in my life, I'm sure. So I love that. He was the man with directions. That's, you know what? Everyone needs someone like that in their life. Okay. So speaking of Dan, and this is, I hate even saying this. And we had someone else on our show that's had multiple ALS issues in their family. I don't even know how to say it because I'm so mad even having to say this, but your mom was diagnosed with ALS in 2007. She passed away in 2009 from ALS. So you and Dan really saw firsthand what that means, what it means for your family, for your life, what she went through. Did that prepare you at all? I mean, for the unimaginable, now you have to deal with this. Your husband's been diagnosed. Did seeing what your mom went through help you at all with what you and Dan were about to go through?
Helped in the sense that it at least prepared us and we knew, but it was also awful because I'm sure, as Meredith can attest to, that, recreating that journey or anticipating that, it was awful. I mean, from the moment that he said, and I feared when he said, my leg is not following me, and he thought it was due to his disc, of a history of a disc problem. And I thought, I hope it's your disc and not ALS. So it was just so oddly similar, but yeah.
That's crazy. And I don't know, I mean, preparing is even the wrong word because I really think there's no amount of preparation that can get you ready for this ALS diagnosis because as we said before on the show, there is no cure. So you know what the end result is going to be the same for everybody. It's just how it progresses, and that's what we're trying to fight to change. So I am so sorry. I mean, I'm sorry for all of you, but I'm so sorry that you've had to deal with this multiple times in your life because this stinks. This just really, really stinks. And so as we were talking sort of on the phone about all this that you went through, I know that with your mom's diagnosis, you were working with organizations. So you've worked with multiple organizations. What do you feel like sets the ALS Association's Chicago chapter? What sets them apart from other organizations that you've worked with in the past?
I think first and foremost, what was just so amazing were the people that I dealt with. They've had such a realness of a commitment. Well, our wonderful Joumana here was, aside from Dr. Roos, was Joumana. And it was like, okay, take over, just, she was not only, I just felt such a connection from the first time that I met her. So aside from that, she just connected us with great people that, they encouraged us to come to a fundraiser, the disco. I don't know if you were there, Meredith, or
Yeah, I think I was with kids.
Just said, hey, come join us. And it was just so warm. And the resources, the people that, that they introduced us to was so amazing. And that was probably something that really stands out in my mind. Okay. And just the opportunities, meeting Meredith, going to Washington, D.C. I mean, I'm sure Meredith can contribute significantly.
Yeah. Meredith, how was your experience like with the ALS Association? What did they mean to you?
Well, I would say everything Ann said. Joumana always let us know ahead of time what we would be needing. So if we were going to be needing a new piece of equipment, she'd say, you're going to want to get this now so you're ready and you can learn to use it. So we were always prepared. And that was one of the things that was most helpful for us. We were always prepared, at least from that perspective. We always knew what we were going to need and, you know, what we'd have to do. Joumana, Bruce went online after we got back from Mayo Clinic. He went online to the ALS Association, and he, whatever he did, he filled whatever in. Joumana, I think, called him the next day. There was just no lag time and got us hooked up right away. That says a lot right there, because not every organization does that.
Yeah. And I have to say, Joumana, that I talked to both Ann and Meredith completely separately. They had no idea what my conversations with the other one were. And they both said the exact same sentence at one point, that Joumana is their angel. They said the exact same sentence, the exact same way. I mean, they were gushing about you. You paid them a lot of money.
I bribed them.
You know? No, I mean, and the three of you, and Ann, you just brought this up. You guys, one of the things that we do is during advocacy, a select group of people go to Washington and you guys get to meet with policymakers, you meet with politicians. I mean, Joumana, you can explain that a little bit better, but you guys went there, and Ann, that's where you and Meredith, you guys actually met there, and it spawned into this sort of lifelong friendship and support for each other. Tell me about that.
Bruce was so excited to go, so we decided to go. And, you know, there's always things to arrange because I've got dogs and everything, but he was still able to walk then, so it was early on. And Dan was, I think, newly diagnosed. Bruce had been diagnosed the previous summer, fall. And it was a really neat trip. It was kind of a whirlwind trip, but we met a lot of people, and Bruce and Dan just hit it off. I think because they had a lot in common. They both were businessmen, successful businessmen, and they both, of course, had lovely wives who were supporting them.
Of course, we can't leave that part out.
And they were both such positive guys, and I think that they really hit it off. We met sometime after that for a couple of times and had dinner and that sort of thing. And I think that they would have loved to have gotten together more, but it got harder and harder. But that trip to Washington was very eye-opening. I'd been to Washington, D.C. once before, but I'd never done any of that. And you said we talked to politicians. We actually mostly talked to their aides. Okay. The only actual politician we met was our Congressman, Bill Foster, who was wonderful. The rest of them, we met their aides. But still, I mean, it was really cool. And it was neat to be in those buildings.
And unfortunately, I mean, we were talking about this too on the phone. Everyone that went on that trip that year with you guys that had ALS has passed by now. And again, this is just another reminder of why we do what we do, because you guys made this amazing core group of friendship. And unfortunately, that group has passed on. But what I think is so great, and what I was saying in the intro, is life has this crazy way of, I think, bringing people together when they need each other most. And, you know, Ann and Meredith, you guys had so much in common. You have such a similar story, and you guys were there to sort of lean on each other and get through it together. So you're not alone. You had someone else that was walking those same shoes with you. You guys had each other to lean on. And I feel like that really is priceless. And you guys still stay in touch, right? You guys are still friends to this day.
We still stay in touch with texts. Someday we're going to get together, all of us, some of the others we know, because, you know, now that people are being vaccinated, we might be able to get together.
Right. I know. Once this crazy COVID decides to just take a hike, and we're all tired of it. We're ready for you to go away, COVID. Take a hint already. My goodness. Well, Joumana, what do these ladies mean to you? Because you've been right there in the middle of all this too.
Compassion and friendship. The love that they showed. They taught me a lot, actually. You know, patience also. I just wish I have that same patience with my own family, the way they showed with their own. It's not easy, because we see how hard it is as caregivers to handle all that and not have the support that you deserve, you know. You're on your own, basically. Like, you have family to support you, but not in the same way like you need to be supported. So they did it, and they were amazing. They kept a smile on their face. So that shows me strength. I just wish I can do that one day for my own family. Yeah,
I think they were. But you bring up a great.
Sorry.
You bring up a great point because, yeah, I mean, Anna, Meredith, you guys were, you were caregivers. You had to step into that role on top of being mothers, on top of being wives, and now you're taking care of your husbands, 24/7. How did you guys balance all of that?
I think it helps having adult children. I can't imagine what it must be like for people who have small children at home. My kids are all grown up, and they were real helpful. The two that live in the area they came almost every weekend and helped me out. And when we went to Wisconsin, they all came because that house isn't accessible up there. And I mean, they were just always there for me.
Well,
I was just going to say, I think ultimately something that people don't realize is that ALS just doesn't affect the person, as with so many diseases, but it really physically, mentally, emotionally affects every part of your life, every relationship, your children, your friends, and it's at first I was very defensive in trying to explain that, and then I think it's something, unless you know firsthand, do you really understand?
Right.
It's true and thankfully people don't see it unless they're going through it. Thank goodness, because we don't want anyone going through this. But you're right. I mean, when they're going through this, it doesn't stop. I mean, every little detail, you think about this, you have to be able to be that person and do for your husband because they can't do it. That takes a toll on everybody. So you ladies, you guys are superheroes. I mean, Joumana's right. Not only what you went through, but you kept a smile on your face and you were staying happy, staying positive, and staying in this. I mean, you guys are really special women. Dan and Bruce were very lucky. They were very smart men. They knew what they were doing when they picked the two of you. Okay, speaking of these really smart, amazing men, Meredith, we have talked on the phone about how Bruce loves to cook. I'm really jealous of that, by the way. So Julia Childs was sort of his muse, his end all be all. He loved to cook so much. So now that Bruce has passed, is there a favorite dish you had of his, or a dish that you see and you instantly think about Bruce?
There's not anything specific. He had some outstanding things he did. He made a turkey dinner for my whole family for Thanksgiving one time, a la Julia Child, and it was amazing. So at Thanksgiving, I sometimes think of that. My younger brother hasn't ever stopped talking about that. He was so impressed. Bruce just would try almost anything. He loved to cook. He didn't bake. I'm the baker, but he loved to cook, and he would just get these wild ideas. He watched all the cooking shows. He'd get these ideas and say, I'm going to try that. He taught all the kids to cook. They're all wonderful cooks now. And it was a wonderful thing. He had the patience to teach them, and I didn't.
Oh, what a wonderful match that is, too. He loved to cook. You loved to bake. Where was my invite to come over and enjoy all of this? That sounds so perfect. Speaking of invites, you have a tradition you still keep on his birthday. Well, what's the Bruce birthday tradition?
After he died a week before his birthday. And so all my kids were here. My son from North Carolina was in town, and we've decided that first year we celebrated his birthday all together. It was before COVID. And my younger son actually kind of took the helm of the cooking because he channels his dad really well. And so as he cooked and everybody else contributed, we played Bruce's favorite music really loud and just had a wonderful time. We had old fashions to drink because before his birthday that year, he said, I want an old fashioned for my birthday. So we had them for him. So every year we do the same thing. Last year we did it on Zoom. We drank to Bruce on Zoom.
I know. It's like a chain reaction. This always happens.
It is.
Oh, gosh.
I'm a crier too. But this year we had our dinner live because we've been very careful. And now, of course, we're all vaccinated too. But we had his birthday here at my house. And my kids cooked a wonderful meal again. My older son couldn't be here, but the other two were here. And I've got two grandsons now. So, of course, they were here. So Grandma got to spoil them while the kids did all the cooking and making of old fashions. And so I think we'll probably do that every year for a long, long time.
I love that. That's such a great way to just remember him and just keep celebrating him and keep celebrating his legacy.
A lot of our friends then will text me or email me and say, we're having an old fashioned for Bruce tonight. So it's kind of expanded, which is kind of neat.
Oh, I love that. We should have had, I don't like old fashions, but I would have done that for Bruce tonight. I should have thought that. We should have all had some old fashions. We could have cheered tonight.
I do it once a year because I'm really more of a beer drinker. Bruce and I were into craft beers. That was one of the things that we really loved doing, was trying them out. So.
Well, speaking of these memories and these things that make you think of Bruce, this is actually, May is ALS Awareness Month, and we are celebrating the fact that every moment matters. So all of you ladies, I mean, what moments in your life stick out as maybe your favorite moments or just your best memories? Anybody? Don't all jump in at once.
I was just talking. I'm going to let Ann go first.
I think one of the most special times for me, if we're referring to after diagnosis, is Dan was president of a company and he left that, which was very difficult for him. And we decided for the first time ever, we drove down to Florida and we spent a month away from everything and everyone. And it was not an easy trip because at that point it was, well, actually Dan first started really falling. He was wearing braces and the orthotics, and he fell a couple times in the middle of the street and refused help. And but irregardless, it really made us dig deep into our relationship and kind of set the tone for the remainder of the time that we had intertwined with ALS and everything. I know, Meredith, you did a lot of traveling after Bruce was diagnosed as well, right?
Yeah, and I've been posting that for ALS Awareness Month. We did a lot of traveling while we could, but the times that stand out most for me are my daughter's wedding, which was November 2013. He was able to dance with her. He was able to walk her down the aisle, and he gave his father of the bride speech, and it was wonderful. My younger son got married in 2015, August 2015. And even though he was in his wheelchair, we made a grand entrance. I was sitting on his lap and he zoomed in on his wheelchair. So everybody thought that was fun. And before that, we had gone to Alaska. So that was our big trip. Everybody should go to Alaska. It's awesome. And I'm so glad we got to do that. And then, of course, the last and most amazing thing was when my first grandson was born. Bruce got to meet him, and his name is Bruce. So
I love it. I love it. I'm so glad you brought that up. They named him after Grandpa Bruce.
They did, and my son tells him about his grandpa all the time and shows him pictures. And I made a scrapbook for the kids for our dinner celebration this year. I made a scrapbook of Bruce, and I had asked people, and Joumana actually contributed to this as well. I asked people for their favorite stories of Bruce. And so I put that all together. It's about 85 pages long. And I've got pictures and stories from old friends, new friends, family. And we're going to do that as a family someday too, and talk about our own favorite stories of him and put those in another book. So.
Oh my gosh. Joumana, how about you? I mean, do you have a favorite moment just about anything, just a favorite moment in your life?
She looks frozen.
Oh, Joumana, we love you so much. We love Joumana. Well, ladies, let's dive in. We're going to play a game. I'm not sure if Joumana is going to come back and join us or not. We'll try if internet is permitting, but
she's coming.
Oh, she might be back already. Joumana's playing her own game over here. Hello, goodbye. Hello, goodbye. We are going to play dun, da, da, da. Guess Who.
Okay.
I know it's pretty much exactly like it sounds. Guess Who. So you guys are already prepared. You've got some signs with some names on it. And basically I'm going to ask a question, who is something? And you guys are just going to put the sign up of who that is, whether it's Dan, whether it's Bruce, whether it's, Ann, Meredith, Joumana, whoever it is. Let's find out. Who tells the best jokes?
Oh, not me.
Not me either, Ann. I'm with you.
I'll just go with Bruce because I have no idea.
Okay.
Bruce
likes Joumana. Joumana's a joke teller? I did not know that. Good to know. Okay.
I'm terrible at jokes. I don't remember them ever.
That's my problem. I start a joke and then I just butcher it because I don't
Yeah.
actually remember
That's
what's
me.
happening. Yeah. Okay. I'm right there with you. Who smiles the most?
Oh my goodness. Okay, I know that.
Ooh.
Oh, I guess I could do this.
Ah, okay.
Let's see if we can
Oh,
get that
Joumana
right.
back with that. Joumana, we think it's you. The consensus of the group is you. Who's the most spontaneous?
Ooh.
Ooh.
I'm going to go out on a limb here because I really don't know, but he always seemed like he was to me.
Yeah, he
Ah.
was. Okay, I'll go with you.
And you copycat.
Bruce was an engineer. He had to think everything out and plan
Okay.
it.
Well,
Okay.
these are my choices. So
I love it. No, I think we're going to go with Dan on this one. Yeah, I think Bruce would be too analytical.
Yeah.
He'd have to plan for stuff. Yeah. Who is the best dancer?
oh,
Who laughs the most? I know that one. Meredith.
Oh my gosh. I don't know because I don't know if Anne can dance, but I'm going to say because.
no.
Oh,
Put yourself up, Meredith. It would not be you.
I lost one.
I did
You
do
got-
dances in our madrigal dinners. We had to learn dances, old like pavans and stuff. And I was
Yeah, you got the music theory. You got the music beat, the rhythm.
I'm
I have
musical,
no rhythm
okay.
and no beat. So
I'm a better
definitely you.
singer than I am a dancer. Thank you.
oh, you kind of actually segued into the next one, except it's not the best. Who's the worst singer?
Oh my gosh. Well, I
I'll
can't.
raise my hand and nominate
Bruce
myself.
was an excellent singer. Bruce had a beautiful bass baritone voice. So I'm going to echo Anne only because,
No,
That's a good choice, and Dan would admit it.
yeah.
Dan's a bad singer. Did he ever sing, Anne? Did he try to sing for you?
Oh, all the time.
Love it. I
Bruce
bet you that's what won you over.
Bruce and I were in choir together for years. That was one of the things we did together. And he had a lovely voice.
Oh, I'm so jealous of that. That's so great.
And
I'm with Dan.
from us, so that's good.
He sings, he cooks, he does everything. My goodness, I understand. Oh, Joumana, Joumana, I'm with you. I will tie with you as the absolute worst singer. Who's most likely to have a secret stash of sweets?
Oh my gosh, I can answer that one right off the bat here. Hold on.
I also nominate myself.
Meredith, I know your chocolate fix.
I have a chocolate drawer and we joke that it's my secret chocolate drawer, but everybody knows it's there.
Yes. I only wrote this question. I was writing this question because I opened my bedside table, my nightstand, and it's filled with chocolate. So I'm gonna call myself out on that. I have to keep candy by me at all times because you never know when you're gonna need some chocolate,
That's right.
Ooh, let's see. Who's most likely to get lost? We know it's not Dan.
Probably me.
I don't know. I was thinking Joumana too, but
Yes.
I'm an engineer, so I'm good with maps. Plus, I've got GPS on my phone now, so
I love it.
I live my ways now since Dan introduced me.
Who would be the best contestant on Jeopardy?
Oh,
Definitely not Joumana. Definitely not.
Definitely
well,
not.
I would have to say one of these two fellas here would have been because they
Yeah,
were
I would have to agree.
smart guys. I would get tongue-tied on any show like that. And, if I watch the show, I'll say, oh, I know that answer. But to be on TV, no way.
Okay. So Bruce and Dan would be a great lifeline for that Who Wants to Be a Millionaire if you got to, is that still a thing? Phone a friend? I don't even know.
I don't know.
I don't know. Our last question of the night, who made the world a better place? I know the answer to this
Can you
one.
just say all of them?
Yeah. I would like to say a 5-way tie.
All of you?
Personally,
All of you. All
Girls,
of
personally, it was
you.
definitely Joumana because she made life easier for us all.
Oh,
But yes, everybody else. Everybody.
it's so true. All of you. I love it. I love these signs. Yeah, all of you. I love learning all these fun things about everybody. Now, speaking of, because I told you guys, this is my problem. I want to talk to you ladies all night. We didn't even get to touch on half the things I wanted to talk to you about. We had so many more great stories I want to dive into, but you know what? We just didn't get there this time. We didn't get there this time. But before we go, I want to hear, if Dan and Bruce were here tonight, what do you think they would want to say to everybody watching, everyone here on Twitch?
Well, I can tell you what Bruce would say, because he used to say it all the time. And Joumana will remember this because she, I think, mentioned it in her story of Bruce. Every day he would say, I could make this day my best day, or I could make it my worst day, and I choose to make it my best day. And that was his philosophy throughout his illness until he just couldn't anymore.
Okay.
Dan wouldn't be so kind. He'd say we need more funding for ALS research. There'd be no doubt about that.
Absolutely.
We do. We second that, Dan. And if he was here, I would like all of you, to echo that we need more funding, and you can do that. You guys can be a part of that by donating on our Tiltify campaign. So do it for Dan. Do it for Dan and Bruce tonight, and make a donation in their names to Tiltify, because again, all the money goes to fighting to find a cure and helping provide such needed support, assistance, equipment, all of that to those dealing with ALS. Joumana, what do you think? What do you think those gentlemen would say? You know them, if they were here tonight.
Oh.
We've stunned her into silence yet again. But on the note,
they say we love you, Joumana.
Yes,
right?
they would.
And
Bruce
I know
called her his angel too. He did.
I know they'd give anything to have one more day with both of you, because you guys both have the most beautiful love stories. And I am so glad for every second that you got to spend with Dan and Bruce. And as unfortunate as you guys crossing paths was, I am so glad that the three of you ladies found your way to each other. And now I'm so glad that I got to meet you and bring you into the Sunflower family that we have going on. So thank you, ladies, so much. I want to stay in touch with you girls. And again, in the name of Bruce and Dan, everybody make sure to donate to the Tiltify campaign. And as they were, live your life with that positive attitude too. You get to make every day your best day. So let's do that. Let's keep making memories, and let's keep making moments that are worth it for Bruce and for Dan. Guys, thank you so much. Anything you want to say before we toss it out?
Hi, kids. My daughter made a comment there, so I just want to say hi to my kids.
I want to say thank you to Corey. He was my wingman through all of this. Without him, I couldn't get there.
Okay.
Couldn't have done it. So,
thank you, ladies. Thank you guys so much. I will talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you too.
And have a great rest of your night.